make some noise. Come on.
Yes, indeed, Nick Foles. Let's make some noise. Everybody, let's make some noise. Give me something, God damn it. Boy, oh boy. I told you this last night. I hate this time of the year. Cannot stand it. Ain't nothing to do or talk about. But we're going to try. Welcome back, everybody, to the final word here on the It's a Rap Sports Network, which we're going to be on the call tonight on your Wednesday night, January the 28th. Yeah, 28th. Again, bear with me tonight as we're going to try to squeeze out every last bit of sports talk we can on a night that is dominated once again by no movement by the Eagles, a Flyers team that is scuffling currently out in Columbus, Ohio right now, trailing 3-1 at the tail end of the second period. What else is not going right? We can talk Sixers if you want. I mean, what a sad state of affairs that right now the hottest story in the city is the Sixers. You know, to me, it's a sad state of affairs. It makes me upset. It makes me straight up upset. But we could definitely talk some Sixers if you want in order to fill up the time. Phillies, no news is no news as the content off season is winding down. Maybe we'll get into some hot stove. You know, there's still a lot of like pitchers, players that are still free agents as we are literally 2 weeks away from the start of spring training. And there's still a lot of players like that don't have homes. Adam, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad you're checking in on this Wednesday night. Definitely appreciate it. But a lot of players are still without forwarding addresses for 2026. I still think the Phillies are in play for at least 3 more moves. I definitely see another starter being added to this rotation at some point in the next, I don't know. I guess you can count what we got 2 weeks till the pitchers and catchers report. Then that's what, mid-Feb, and then the season doesn't start till like late March. So it's about 6 weeks, right? 6 weeks, give or take, to when it really starts to matter. So I would say in the next 6 weeks, the Phillies will add another starter and as well as another bat and as well as getting rid of Nick Castellanos, finally. We talked about this with Jack Fritz on Sunday when he was on the PNM and the AM Sports Show. Sorry about that, guys. The AM Phillies Sports Show. We talked about that. We talked about the possibility of the mental health of the Phillies if Nick Castellanos were to somehow find his way to camp. And how that would be. And Jack was right. There's just no way they would let that happen. So I would imagine he's going to get dealt. You know what? I'm going to put it an edict out tonight. Within the next 7 days, scratch that. When's truck day? Monday? Monday's truck day. In the next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in the next 5 days, the Phillies will make 3 moves. They will add a starting pitcher. They will get rid of Nick Castellanos, and they will add another bat before the trucks leave. As they're pulling out onto 95 South, they will add that third piece. They will add all 3 of those pieces. That's my edict, my bold take, my hot take, my clickbait, whatever it is. That's what I'm going to go with. So we can definitely talk Phillies if you want. We are going to talk some of the Phillies in our Phillies player spotlight of the night. We are going to bring up a player, but we talk Phillies. Season's approaching, bearing down on us. Cannot wait. My baseball season starts on February 9th. I have a game in, where am I going? In Tennessee. An NAIA game, my first game of the year. It's going to be weird getting behind the plate on February 9th. It's going to be great, though, but weird. Every beginning of the season is weird. And my season starts in February and ends around Halloween. So that's the life of a full-time umpire. You know, my off season is very fleeting, about 2 months, 3 months long. And then I'm back at it on the road until about Halloween. Can't wait. Can't wait to get back in the old swing of things. Pardon the pun. Our Day in Philadelphia Sports History, our of the night segment, which will include a NHL 2026 draft prospect, hopeful, our card review, and our Philly spotlight. All that tonight in the next hour, and hopefully change. So we'll definitely get into some of those things. Adam says, what's my opinion of Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame? You know what, Bill? Bill. You know what, Bill? Adam, I don't know if it's really the problem. And Adam's speaking of the decision today not to elect Bill Parcells to the class of 2026. We're aware of the cheating, Deflategate, all that, And I'm not saying it didn't happen. But I think the biggest problem that this is sort of unearthed has been the lying of sports writers who voted for him or did not vote for him. Everyone's saying, I voted for him. No, you didn't. So I don't really understand why you're afraid of saying you didn't vote for Bill Belichick. I mean, what's he going to do? Send out his 14-year-old girlfriend to kick your ass? I mean, I don't understand why you're afraid of that. But as far as the man not making it into the Hall of Fame, it's it's the chicken and the egg thing, right? Brady and Belichick, who was who, who completed who. Obviously, that argument was settled when Brady went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl. I guess it's almost like having a conversation. I like to think of it this way, Adam. In 25 years from now, if Nick Sirianni somehow finds his way to navigate through 6 Super Bowl championships, right? Based on what we know of him now, and he doesn't change at all in those 6, 7, 8 years from now, and his admission into the Football Hall of Fame comes up. I mean, what's that'll be a debate that we'll have forever. Is he a Hall of Fame coach? And obviously we know that he's not. And we know that he has been a product of some really good teams. And he's just been along for the ride. Same could be said about Belichick. He just he caught a generational quarterback. It was gifted to him, fell in his lap. And he rode the lightning all the way to 6 Super Bowls. So as far as and then he's been accused of cheating and all kinds of other things along the way. So it's a really interesting question. Should he be a Hall of Fame coach? I'm okay with him not being a Hall of Fame coach. I would be okay if he was a Hall of Fame coach, to be honest with you. I don't really care, but I can understand the argument more from the side of it went so far as the Hall of Fame released a statement saying that basically if some of our voters or our voting committee lied or cheated, then they'll be dealt with. So obviously something's afoot. Something ain't right about this. Someone got caught up somewhere and either, as I said, lied about saying they voted for him and they didn't, change stuff. I don't know, but something seems weird because I don't remember ever before the Hall of Fame releasing a statement stating, basically our integrity needs to be preserved through any kind of situation. So something seems to be a little bit amiss with this whole thing. But as far as Belichick not making a Hall of Fame, I don't really care. And same thing about him making the Hall of Fame. I really wouldn't care. But I like to equate it back to Nick Sirianni. If this was Nick Sirianni and knowing what we know about him now, and he does not change, say he does not change at all between now and 5 more Super Bowl championships, and his time comes for election into the Hall of Fame, what would the argument be about him not getting in versus him getting in? And hell, he doesn't even have to be accused of any sort of scandal either. It would be the same type of situation. Was it the coach or was it the team? Or was it a combination of both? You really can't look past the Tom Brady effect. You can't. It was what that was. He was a generational talent, a gift from the football gods. And Belichick just happened to be lucky enough to get him, or his pact with Satan, however it happened, he ended up getting Brady, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm not losing any sleep over the fact that he didn't get in. I wouldn't lose any sleep if he did get in. But I know there's some people that have hard lines about Belichick and all that. You know, he shouldn't get in. He shouldn't get in. I get it. Absolutely understandable. Get it. But he's never been convicted of Deflategate. He was never convicted of cheating. And yet, of course, we know he did. But I think it's hilarious because Tom Brady was right. And I hate Tom Brady. I've never liked Tom. Obviously, I hate him because he's great. Just like I hated Michael Jordan watching him play throughout his entire career. Couldn't stand Michael Jordan because he was so great. I feel the same way about Brady. But Brady proved that it was maybe more Brady than it was Belichick by taking another team to a Super Bowl championship. So, again, down the middle of the road, Adam. Is that a fair enough answer for you? I don't know how else to say. I'm more interested in the, like, why are voters saying that they voted for him? Everyone's saying they voted for him, but yet he didn't get in. So somebody's lying about why they didn't vote for him or that they voted for him. And why do you feel as if you have to lie about that? Just say you didn't, or just say, hey, it's a voting process, secret ballot, whatever. I don't have to reveal my selections. I don't understand why this is such a big thing, but the Hall of Fame had to go as far as to make a statement today about basically integrity, which I find the better story here. I really do. That's a great opinion and answer. Oh, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. Again, I don't have a hard line against Belichick. I don't. I don't have a hard line against him. I visually saw what he was when he was coaching, right? I mean, again, you cannot not factor Tom Brady into this. You know, Belichick prior to Tom Brady also ran in Cleveland, right? I mean, he did okay in Cleveland, but he wasn't great. Coaches, and this is the eternal Eagles question, isn't it? About this offensive coordinator stuff, about Sirianni, about Jalen Hurts. Now, I do have a hard line when it comes between Sirianni and Hurts about this question about being part of a talented roster. Nick Sirianni, again, as I said, he wins 5 more Super Bowls. Doesn't change his coaching style and doesn't change what we perceive as him to be a coach right now. Are you saying he deserves to get into the Hall of Fame? No, I don't think anybody would actually be, unless you're the grand poobah of the homers. You're probably not. You're probably on the fence. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Now, if Sirianni would say win 5 more Super Bowls with 5 different quarterbacks, yeah, maybe you can kind of make a statement there. But still, a great roster makes everything. Bill Walsh, an innovator. The West Coast offense, the father of the West Coast offense. Was the West Coast offense so successful because of his innovations, or was it because he had Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, and Roger Craig running that bad boy? Combination of both, because the West Coast offense did flourish in other places under other quarterbacks and other players. That's a Hall of Fame coach. You know what I'm saying? He was innovative. He changed the game. Belichick didn't change the game. He rode Tom Brady like a show pony for as long as he could until Brady took his act down south. So that's not very innovative. Nick Sirianni right now is not very innovative. He's really not innovative because he can't keep an offensive coordinator. He was the benefactor of a otherworldly rushing season from Saquon Barkley and a defense that was forcing so many goddamn turnovers down the stretch last season that it was criminal of how good that was. So, yes and no. Again, it's not usually the hard line answer that MattyB likes to give. That's that's where I stand on this. Do I like the Phillies players playing in the world? I do. I am one of the few, Adam. One of the few people who actually think this is a great idea. And before you jump off the bridge, I just want to explain myself. I know we all go back to the Trey Turner stuff, right? He was on fire in the 2022 Classic. Was that 2020? Was that 22? Or was that 20? No, 23. 23. Yeah, because 22 was the lockout year. the 23 Classic, Trey Turner was, lightning in the bottle. I mean, the guy hit like 5 home runs in like 7 games, right? And then he would have what he had in 23. It took him 3/4 of the season to get out of a slump. I get that. I get the perception of that. And I also get the Joel Embiid effect of all that. I totally understand. But Joel Embiid knew he was hurt and still went to go play for the Olympics. That's a whole different situation than going to play as a healthy player for your country. And how would you not want, why, and again, why would you, as a fan or as a player, not want to go into a situation in March where it's like playoff baseball every game? Talk about a fast lane to being ready for the season. I get the whole Turner thing. I understand that, but Shohei Ohtani in 23, who struck out Mike Trout to win the thing for Japan, went on to win the MVP in 23. Okay? So let's be a little bit less impartial about the World Baseball Classic. And let's look at the player a little bit more. A true competitor, a true athlete, a true player wants that competitive juices to start flowing as soon as possible. And this nonsense about, well, it's going to screw up a player. Well, how is that going to screw up a player? It's going to get him all fired up in March, and then what? Is he going to fall asleep in April because like the adrenaline wears off, and he's like, oh well, I got a 162 game season. I mean, they're in spring training, and they're pitching whatever their workload is, or they're hitting whatever their workload is. These managers of these countries, do you don't think that GMs of these baseball teams are talking to every single manager that all their players are headed off to play for and be like, hey, you know what we eye to eye, right? I mean, he ain't pitching 7 innings today. No one's doing that, right? This isn't like a free for all. Like we're going to go 9 innings and throw him 150 pitches. No, listen, let's not be stupid about that, okay? There is still some sort of guardrails put up on this thing, okay? And what do you think spring training is? I mean, they're out throwing as hard as they possibly can in spring training. Absolutely, because they're trying to knock the rust off. All this is, it puts a little bit more emphasis on knocking that rust off. And as I said, playoff baseball in March, an opportunity for Team USA to get back on top. I would be first in line to sign up to play in the World Baseball Classic if I was a player in Major League Baseball, and I love it. And I 100% agree. Now, yes, the Edwin Diaz situation a few years, like back in 23, where he tore his ACL celebrating on the mound after a big win. I get it. But he could have tore his ACL walking off the mound in spring training. So I don't fall for that, man. Get him out there. Get the heart pumping right off the bat, and let's go. Let's go. Especially this year with the future of baseball so up in the air. And Aaron Nola, I know what we got. Nola, Sanchez, we got a lot. We got like 11 of them going. I used to have the graphic. Do I still have it here? No. Yeah, we got like 11. This could only be good for Aaron Nola. He had a terrible season last year. I don't know what he's doing pitching for Italy, but whatever. And Nola, honestly, is going to pitch in pool play, and then once Italy gets eliminated, it's going to go right back to camp. Sanchez, I think it's outstanding for him to be in this situation. 100%. But I'm from a different era, right? I'm from a different upbringing. I'm from a different time in sports. I wasn't born with like plastic wrap, or bubble wrap. I wasn't wrapped in bubble wrap, all right? Get out there and you play. You know what I'm saying? And you compete. And that's what an athlete wants to do. And why would you hold the reins back on that? The ramifications of the season, yeah, I get it. But this guy breaking an arm or throwing out his arm or, tearing an ACL, it can happen just as well in a spring training game. Reese Hoskins, a couple years back, tore his ACL in the final spring training game of the year, right? I wasn't a WBC. I was a goddamn spring training game. So trying to avoid injury at all costs is just not possible. So bring on the WBC. I think it should go as far as that all major league players, if you ended the season on a major league roster, you should be split into the winds and go play for somebody. They should shut down camp. Oh, they have the minor leaguers play, and let's have some fun with it. But no, I would love to have the WBC every year, and I'm glad that the Phillies are heavily represented in the Classic. I 100% am glad. And the Players Association voted for this. You know, it wasn't like Major League Baseball just said, you got to go participate. This was in the CBA. This was agreed to by the union, or I shouldn't call them the union, by the association and by the owners. So somebody wants it, obviously for the money. But the Players Association is supposed to protect the players, and they obviously don't see a problem with it. Let's do it. Let's have some fun with it, man. So good to them. Good for them. And I'll be watching every pitch, every inning that I can. March 5th, I believe it starts. So make sure you're tuned in to the World Baseball Classic. So hope that answers your question, Adam. 22 minutes in, I haven't even started the show yet. Wow, damn, Adam, got me all off my key, off my routine here. But tonight, again, it's a slow night. So please, if you got a question, and I'm going to open up the phone lines here in about 5 minutes. Please bring it in. Anything is on the table, because I honestly am trying to desperately find something to talk about, because the same old, the offensive coordinator search is just getting really old. And I'll talk about it some more, but I don't know how much new earth we can do here with this topic. It's become a caricature of itself. There's been sides drawn on this whole thing. I love that. I ain't gonna lie. It's fun. It's fun dealing with the people that are in denial versus the people that are way over the top about this. You know, again, it's not necessarily the fact that they don't have an offensive coordinator. It's that whole nobody wants to come here thing. And that's we're not even focused on the coordinator anymore. We don't care anymore. That's people are trying to act like they're experts by talking intelligently about Charlie Weiss Jr. No one knows who the hell Charlie Weiss Jr. is. And the only reason why you know his name is because of this whole process right here, right? So people are trying to act smart by talking. I don't know any of these people, and I don't care about these people. Just give me an offensive coordinator. I think Kevin Patula should have stayed as offensive coordinator at this point. But people are trying to act smart by mentioning names that I would really like him. Nah, get the hell out of here. You have no idea. You have no idea what you're talking about. All right. But again, it's the subplot here. It's the sub story that is the best part of this. It's the fact that there's the narrative out there that nobody wants to come to this town, work for Sirianni or Hertz or Howie Roseman or Jeff Lurie or Big Dom or the girl who works in the team store, whoever they're upset to come work with. I love that's the part of this that's great. That's absolutely 100% awesome. And yes, because it's human nature. This is the human factor right here. This is people drawing a line in the sand saying, not my Philadelphia Eagles. This is not happening to us. And then there's the other side of the line that says, why can't it happen to us? Why do you think it's so perfect here? Why do you think the narrative exists that everybody wants to come here and be part of this? And again, I know that there's been varying accounts about whether or not they actually offered a position to anybody. Some people say they have. I read somewhere like up to 15 people have turned down the job. Whoa, that's a lot. But I've read varying accounts about, who's taken the position, who's been offered a job, who's turned it down. I've read all this stuff. The bottom line is to think, and again, the human nature factor here, to think that the Eagles have not offered that position to anybody is ridiculous. They have. Most definitely they've offered it to somebody. And that person or persons have turned them down. I don't think it's 15. That's a lot of people. But I guarantee you an offer was made to at least, I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say at least 2 people got offered the position and have turned it down. And I will go to my grave saying that. And I hope one day we find out exactly how this all worked out and, how the process came to be. But to sit here and think that, they're taking their time and they haven't offered the job to anybody. Come on, man. Holy Moses, smell the roses, man. Come on. It's ridiculous. All right. This is the gold standard organization, right? This is the arrogance that I fear that has crept into this facility about overvaluing or overvaluing what you are. We see, well, I don't know what we see, because we is a loaded topic too. There is no more we in the Eagle fan base. Now there's sides, right? And that's just reality too. That's a straight reality. But overall, in general, we see an organization that we love and we want to be part of and that we want to support and that want to win championships and all that. But on the outside, looking into it, I think they see offensive coordinators that don't spend more than 1 year. If you're great, you obviously get rewarded with an opportunity to be a head coach. But if you struggle, if things are not clicking 100%, you're out in 1 year. And I don't know, again, on the human factor of this, how many young play callers want to drag their family to Philadelphia for 1 year. And again, that's the perception that they see. I'm not saying that's the reality, but it is kind of the reality because that's what's been happening. Right? And that's just looking in from the outside. It's not actually getting here, talking to people, finding out what really is going on. How much control do you really have over the offense? Why can't I bring my own people in? Because I want my own people here. I'm just saying the initial, looking in, oh my God, if I struggle, I'm going to get canned after 1 year. I get being accountable for my performance, but 1 year, it's a little tight, right? A little tight. Or I come in and I'm gangbusters and then I'm on my way to get a head coaching position somewhere. So I guess there's it's a gambling man's world, I guess. But some of these young guys got families and want to know, for their family's sake, that they're going to be secure in a spot for at least 2 years. So to think that they have not offered the job to anybody is fool's gold. Of course they have. I know homers will tell you something different. But anyway, let me get back to the beginning. I got all off track. Thank you, though, for the questions, Adam. I appreciate it. Tonight, on top of this great back and forth, you can probably see the game sort of in the background there. The Flyers are in Columbus, and it is now 3-1, beginning part of the third period. I will be on the coverage tonight, or the call for the Clear the Ice. Mike Laro, who was supposed to be on tonight, literally just got off the road like an hour, 2 or 3 hours ago, after spending the past 3 or 4 days plowing. I think you tell me he had an 8-hour downtime between Saturday night and now. He's been out clearing the roads of southeastern Pennsylvania. So, obviously, I'm going to jump in for Mike tonight and take care of Clear the Ice. So we'll be doing a two for tonight. We're going to do this show, and then we're going to transition to do Clear the Ice once this game comes final in about 19 minutes. Dan Vladar back in action tonight for the Flyers, by the way, as they're trailing 3-1 out in Columbus. So maybe the Flyers can mount a comeback, at least force it in overtime, get a point, as the ship seems to be rocking a little bit for the Flyers. But and the trade deadline's coming, and the Olympic break. So let me ask you this, Adam. Let me throw a question at you if you're still listening. Do you support Flyers players going to Milan and participating in the Olympics? Because this isn't literally during the season. I mean, does that change your perception of this? And anybody can chime in on this, really. Is it the perception that these, in the World Baseball Classic case in the Olympics for basketball, it was before the season? Is that what scares people about players going off to participate internationally? In about 2 weeks, the NHL is going to break while players head over to Italy and play in the Olympics. I mean, they've had a half a season of legs under them. They might be in a little bit better shape. So does that change the perception of this? Is that what this is about? It's about a preseason tournament kind of thing? Joe, what's up, man? I'm interested to know what you guys' take is on that, because I support the NHL getting back in the Olympics 100%. 100%. And I wouldn't care, because here's another piece of information. 2028, This is 2028. They're going to start the World Cup of Hockey again. It's going to be an off Olympic years. So what they did was, so last year you had the 4 nations, right? And that was sort of a tune-up for the Olympics. So you got the Olympics this season. Next year they're going to have an all-star game in 27. But in 28, they're going to go back to the World Cup of Hockey. Now, whether or not the World Cup of Hockey is going to be like it's been before in September before the season, or if it's going to replace the all-star game, that might be where they're leaning towards. But the World Cup of Hockey is coming back in 28, and they're going to do that every other off year of Olympic play. So 29, it'll be all-star game, and then 30 will go right back to the Olympics. 31 will be an all-star game. 32, I think, will be an all-star game. 33, or something like that. 32, 31 will be the World Cup of Hockey. But the World Cup of Hockey is coming back too. So again, is it more of a, I don't support the preseason aspect of one of these type of tournaments, or is it, I just don't want to jeopardize on my players' safety or health in any sort of non-team related activity? As I support the players going to the Olympics and get more playing time. Okay, so what's the difference between, again, just justify your belief here. Is it because they've already had a half a season? Or, because I don't understand, I mean, I didn't ask where you stood on the World Baseball Classic thing. I'm not assuming that you're against it, but I guess where do you stand on the World Baseball Classic and the players playing in it? Is that something you're okay with? I know the prevailing winds or people are pretty much against it, but it's the same thing that can be said about the Olympics for hockey or the Olympics for basketball. And God forbid they turn the Olympics back on for baseball, which would be great, but they never will. But, you know, what is the reasoning for those who support it? And I gave you my reasons why I support it. And what are the reasons that you don't support it? Because everyone says, I don't, I do. Well, no one necessarily gives their reasons. What would be some of the reasons that a person who doesn't support the World Baseball Classic would have? Because I'd like to know, because then I would imagine that same person would not support the Olympics in hockey, and then obviously the Olympics in basketball, which is a preseason event. You know, I just like to hear some of the opinions about why or why not. They are, Joe. I'm going to get around to it in a second. Adam's been a nice little conversation with Adam here to start the show. But anyway, Clear the Ice tonight will be a twofer. I will stop action at some point, and we will do Clear the Ice. We're having some massive problems on our streaming service page right now. It's internal stuff that I'm fighting with them over. So you're going to see, until we get this resolved on our YouTube page, you're going to see a lot of duplicate shows. Like, for example, let's go with tomorrow at 8 o'clock. The Gridiron Weekly will show up at 8. If they don't resolve this problem with our streaming platform, you're going to end up seeing 2 Gridiron Weeklies show up at one time. Well, I'm working through it with the people StreamYard, and it's been a pain in the ass. So we're literally building this thing in flight this week as we're trying to maneuver around some massive technical issues, not internal, but external to this. So bear with us as we get through that. But yeah, and then if you've also noticed that there was no Pittsburgh sports tonight or yesterday. John Phillips has got his own internal internet problems that he's dealing with. So he's going to, he packed it in for the week. And hopefully we see him back on Monday night at 7, back for his regularly scheduled broadcast. Tonight they did the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. Tomorrow will be the Gridiron Report, as I'm looking at it right here. And then you'll get back-to-back. You'll have Mike Laro tomorrow. He will be in tomorrow night for Flyers Bruins, and I'll be back for the final word. Then the Philly Friday Frenzy, and then all the stuff that we got coming up for the weekend. So we're hanging in there, and then things are going to get really interesting when I take my command center on the road here in about a week and a half. It's going to get real interesting then. So it's going to be a fun winter for you guys, not so much for me. I think it gives baseball players a good head start to get the juices flowing. Right. All right, there you go. So I kind of, yeah, so it's sort of kind of how I feel about it too. I know there's the issue of injury, but that's a flimsy issue to me. You know, that can happen in a Grapefruit League game, in an Arizona League game, It can happen in any of that aspect. It can happen in a side session in the bullpen. You know what I mean? I don't understand. And again, I know a lot of people default back to the Trey Turner thing. You're right. He struggled. But do you directly correlate that to the WBC? Again, Shohei Ohtani won the MVP of Major League Baseball in 2023 and recorded the final out of the World Baseball Classic by striking out Mike Trout. So I think we're giving way too much credence to the mythical, I changed my swing to compensate for this pitch. I mean, these guys are facing somewhat major league caliber pitching, not like top level major league. There's some washed up players. Like if you go up against Great Britain in Italy minus Aaron Nola, you're be facing some wannabes or washed out major leaguers. But these guys they're still throwing 80, 90 miles an hour. So I'm not buying that. Trey Turner struggled because of Trey Turner, not because of his participation in the 2023 World Baseball Classic. But okay, that's good to hear that, Adam. I didn't know where you came out on that. But all right, let's get into this. As I said, let's open the phone lines. Let's get it going here. Let me put it up. Let me put it out. All right. So the phone lines are now open. The link should be dropping into your whatever chat platform you're looking at this on. If you're on YouTube, it should be popping in YouTube chat. If you're on X, I don't see it popping in on X. Let's try it again. Oh, wait, there it is. Nope. Let's do it again. All right, so it's not popping in on X. And by the way, we're not on Facebook tonight. Having problems on Facebook too. So not a good technical night tonight across the spectrum. Maybe it's the weather. But all right, so we're not broadcasting on Facebook. I knew that. And the link is not showing up on Twitter. So if you are on YouTube and you want to participate, there you go. The link is here. You click on the link, brings you backstage, and I'll pull you up and we'll talk. You don't need your camera, but you need your microphone. And you need to be able to hear me. All right. No, let's see. We got one. Let's go to Joe Hale. Joe, what's going on, man?
Yes, I'm in the hospital, but I had to call in.
Joe, what the hell?
I'm having chest pains.
I am sorry, Joe. When did you? What did they say?
I pulled muscles.
Okay.
In my chest.
This is related to the shoveling that we talked about yesterday, right?
I went back. I couldn't breathe. Sorry. I'm back in there. I'm at Lourdes Hospital.
Well, Joe, once again, thank you. That's dedication. Joe Hale wins the It's a Wrap Sports Contributor of the Year award in January for tuning in and chiming in on the chat in the hospital. Joe, hey. I'll get your award in the mail, man. Good job. You are the we'll be talking about this all year. I'll be talking about this all year every time you pop up, man.
Ricky's home. That's good news.
So you guys just alternating spots in the hospital, man? He's home, you're in.
I want to talk Vic Fangio's retirement.
Vic Fangio, he's announced his retirement? When did this happen?
NFL is reporting that's the major announcement next week.
Yeah, Adam Schefter kind of leaked that, right? Didn't he leak that on 97.5? Yeah, the Fanatic. Was that yesterday or today that there's big news coming?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday,
but
yeah.
Mike, well, it was both yesterday and today. If it happens, you know who I want? Sean McDermott.
He's out there, and if it happens, if that's true, and by the way, Joe Hale is speculating that the big news that Adam Schefter is going to, or the Eagles are going to drop on the world of the NFL next week, is that Vic Fangio is going to retire. Now, this is not verified, right? This is inside sources, leaks, whatever. It could be or could not be. 50%. But if this 50%?
Yeah, 50, 60, yeah.
Okay, 50 or 60. So half and half. If this is true, Joe Hale, this is a huge, huge development for the Eagles. They can't find themselves an offensive coordinator. Now we got to pivot to go to a defensive coordinator. It would be big time if that's the case.
So what they're going to do is he's going to retire but stay on a consultant for the Eagles defense.
So he's not going to call plays. He's just going to be like an advisor.
Yes. I'm okay with that.
No, I need him calling plays because wasn't he advising the year that Patricia was in as the interim defensive coordinator when they fired Desai or moved Desai upstairs or whatever they did with him? Wasn't he sort of part of that whole thing too?
Yes.
That didn't really work out well.
It's going to be Sean McDermott, apparently.
That would be nice. Now, McDermott's in the news as they were looking at I just saw him pop up. He was Tampa's potentially going down an interview for Tampa's defensive coordinator.
I didn't know Tampa. I thought Tampa kept it. I know.
Well, if Todd Bowles bringing McDermott on, I mean that might be what they're looking at here. But again, unreported, like unverified, unsubstantiated, just a leak somewhere.
I want to talk World Baseball Classic, and then I'll let you go. I like the idea. It's basically extended spring training.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't like it. I love it.
How can you not love it? As you said, it's expanded. I wouldn't use expanded spring training, but I like to say playoffs in March.
Yes.
You know, I love that. And this whole thing about they're going to get hurt and they're going to throw their arm out. Listen, they've been throwing all winter. The first time they're going to throw a baseball is not going to be at the World Baseball Classic. They've been amping up in their offseason workouts all winter. This, to me, is, as you said, maybe a spring training on steroids, I guess you could call it. Yeah, it's going to be competitive. They're going to be diving extra hard. They're going to be playing like it's the playoffs. How can you not love that?
You know what's weird? They asked Trey Turner to go back, and he declined.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, I don't buy that. That's why he slumped that year. I don't. Again, Shohei Ohtani won the MVP.
Sanchez just got named too. He said he's pitching now.
So he's initially said he wasn't going to do it. Now he said he's going?
Yeah, for Puerto Rico.
Good for him if that's the case. Good for Chris Sanchez. Joe Hale breaking all kinds of news here tonight.
The Phillies are talking to Luzardo's agent about a contract extension.
Saw that too.
Yep. So.
Joe, do you think the Phillies go out and add another arm or another bat before the beginning of the season?
I'm going to give you a name. Chris Bassett is to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone said who was it? Eugenio Suarez? Could be
Eugenio Suarez from the Mariners. They're linked to the Phillies. Yeah.
Phillies.
Yeah.
Would
I sign him?
Yes.
Would I sign him to like a 1-year deal?
Yes. Would you?
Me and Papernick talked about this last night. Yeah, I signed him to. He's another power hitter. He's another boomer bust kind of guy. He's another strikeout or home run guy. I don't know if I want another one of them in the lineup, but if I can somehow find a way to bat him second, which I think I might be able to, or bat him fifth, which I might be able to, but I don't know who's batting second. So he'd have to bat second. And that's the sticking point here for me, is that I have to bat him second. And what are you going to do with Alec Bohm? You got to move Alec Bohm. And we can't move Castellanos, so now we got to move Bohm.
You trade them. Was the top 10 center fielder one today? Because yesterday did the top left, and Brandon Marsh got number 10 for somehow.
Yeah, I didn't see. I saw that. I did not see the top 10 center fielders be released yet, but I'll definitely go check.
If it is, I think Justin Crawford's number 2. I would put him at number 2. He's young and he's talented.
You mean Justin Crawford as the top center fielder in baseball right now?
No, like number 9. Because if they do number 1 through 10, I would put him at number 9.
Justin Crawford.
Yeah.
Justin Crawford hasn't taken a pitch in the major leagues. How can you put him as the number 9 best center fielder in the league?
I don't know how they got Brandon Marsh on there. I want to argue with that.
289 last year. I don't know how he's on there either. It's a bad position. All right, Joe, listen, man, get better. Joe Hale, the 2026 It's a Wrap Sports Contributor of the Year award winner in late January. I've already given out the award. He is tuning in from the hospital. Joe, I'll never forget this. I will give you. As soon as we get T-shirts made, you'll get a T-shirt. I promise.
I want a T-shirt.
As soon as we get them made, you're the first one on the list, man.
I would rock it.
I know you would. That's why you're the first on the list. And the fact that you're calling in from the hospital.
Hey,
That's
Ricky,
WIP stuff right there.
Hey, Ricky, there you go. Shout out to Ricky. He's home.
All right. So Ricky's deal's home and Joe Hale's in the hospital. So, all right, Joe, listen, we'll talk tomorrow. Hope you're home tomorrow. All right, man?
Yeah.
All right. That's dedication. I'm not kidding. Listen, Joe Hale, dedication. Calling in from the hospital. Now, Joe's suffering from issues that are brought on from pulled muscles from shuffling over the weekend. I'm sure the local area hospitals had an uptick in that over the weekend and into the early part of the week, coming off that snowstorm. But as I said, T-shirts we're talking about T-shirts right now. Me and the money people, we're talking about T-shirts. The money people is my wife. So we're talking about T-shirts. And if once we decide to do it, Joe Hale is first on the list to get a T-shirt. And he is the 2026 Contributor of the Year. I've given out the award already, and it's late January. So get well soon, Joe. Get well soon. That's great stuff, man. And there's my man, Michael Papernick. Michael, what's up?
What up, Matty? Well, look, Joe, get better. Ricky Deal, glad you're getting better. Yep. And Joe, here's the best advice I can tell you. You got to find a neighbor that you can give a case or two of beer to that will snow blow your property.
It ain't no joke, man. I agree.
Yeah. Mike. So, Sean McDermott turned down the Buccaneers job. Sean turned the Buccaneers job down.
I saw that he was going to interview.
I was reading it while you. Yeah, it's reported by Sports Illustrated. Yeah, he returned it. He turned it down. If Fangio's retiring, he's a smart man, McDermott, because he knows Sirianni's on thin ice. And Jeffrey Lurie loved Jim Johnson.
Yep, and he's part of that tree.
When he was here, Andy loved Jim Johnson. That's a Jim Johnson disciple.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Now McDermott didn't work out though. They did try him out. They did try him out as defensive coordinator and didn't work. But that was a millennia ago. Kaepernick, you there?
Yeah, I get it was a long time ago, but
no, I'm not saying Kaepernick is gone. All right, Michael Kaepernick fell off. No, and all I meant was that it's a millennia ago. What he's done in Buffalo. Listen, Joe Hale dropped a bombshell. I had not saw that. I want to put this out there. Of course, the Adam Schefter thing that he broke on 97.5 The Fanatic yesterday was that the Eagles, there was a big thing coming down the pike about the Eagles, not offensive coordinator related, that was going to hit next week. A lot of speculation was about a potential trade of A.J. Brown, whatever, but you really can't. I mean, you can't really officially trade anybody until the beginning of the league year, but that crap leaks out during the legally tampering period, all that. But Joe Hale's saying that he saw, and I had not seen this, and I once I get Kaepernick back on, I'm going to ask him if he's seen this, but he saw, Joe Hale did, by the way, calling in from the hospital, that the news is going to be a retirement of Vic Fangio, which would be an immense bombshell. Could that be the reasoning around the delay in the hiring of an offensive coordinator? Are they maybe trying to kill two birds with one stone? They're going to bring in an offensive and a defensive coordinator. So if this is true, this is huge. This is like Hiroshima huge. If this is actually true, Kaepernick is back, so let's bring him back on. Mike, I get it, and I would be 100% on board with bringing McDermott in. You gotta get somebody in here that's got experience. post-tick. Like he's got to be. There's no young defensive coordinator for this one. It's got to be somebody with experience.
Unless Vicks announces retirement for next year, this is his last year, and that's going to be now. But it's kind of weird that McDermott shut down the Tampa Bay thing.
Yep.
So, and he's like I said. I mean, he's not stupid. I mean, he knows. Look, that they need a guy like him, to be so. Because he can't run the offense, let alone he can't run the defense if he had to, man. I mean, it just
imagine Sirianni by himself doing both. Dumpster fire that would.
Now, here's a question for you. Everybody's blaming Jalen. I'm not saying Jalen don't have his hand on the offensive side.
Right.
Well, if Fangio's retiring, what's he retiring for?
Good point. Is it Sirianni?
It's got to. It has to. I mean, if it's Howie, it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, I can't. Point. If it's Howie, just come out and say it. All this stuff, I don't care. It's going to come out from Vic. If whoever leaves, Vic, Patullo, AJ Brown, it's all going to come out. It always comes out in the end.
It does, yeah.
Now the offense, but if he's leaving because of what's going on, the way everything is just not, the whole structure is just like crumbling. Well, okay, like I always say, if it's crap up top, it's going to be crap down below. Well, Nick's the top two. People forget that he ain't the below guy. He's just below Howie.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he is. Everybody else is below him. So I've been saying this for months to get rid of him. Bring it. What would it have hurt if they fired Nick Sirianni in week 12? Would it have really made a difference to this Eagles team? Nope. That's my point. What it might have done what would have happened with the Phillies. Maybe it would lit a fire under some people, and the Eagles going to run. That's what happened. And to get back, Vic Fangio was the consultant during the Super Bowl last year to Jonathan Gannon because he left for Miami because the Eagles, Gannon kind of screwed the Eagles. And he didn't tell them that he was leaving, and Vic already signed with Miami.
So was this the 22 season?
Yes, it was. He was brought in. Okay. He was brought in the Super Bowl the year. He was brought in like that October as a consultant because the year later when Desai was the defensive coordinator, I was calling for them to bring in a Rex Ryan. Rex said he would have came in as a consultant. No, everybody's like, oh, Rex don't know. Rex is outdated. Rex forgot more defense than the NFL. Like he couldn't adapt to this stuff. Everywhere he's coached, he's had a top 10 defense. Everywhere. No, I don't care if he coached. You sometimes you need a second set of eyes. That's why they got these consultants. And I got laughed at then. When I say laughed at, backlash and then comes you go on and on and on. And I keep it's like, well, if Sirianni don't see it, it's like the old what's that old saying, Matty? Love is blind, but the neighbors aren't. Everybody else sees it.
Love is blind, but the neighbors aren't. I love that. I've never heard that before. I'm going to use that there, Papernick. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Like the person who's in love is blind to what's going on, but the neighbors aren't. So everybody else is seeing what's going on, around it. And Vic's probably seeing it. Now, I hope Vic isn't retiring, but if he is, they have to sign McDermott because who else is? I mean, I don't know. You want to shake this organization up? Bring Rex Ryan as defensive coordinator.
So let me ask you this, Papernick. Do you think that this potentially, if Fangio is retiring, if this is what's happening, or perhaps if They're firing Sirianni. Whatever the news is, and I think something is coming up because Schefter wouldn't say that if he really didn't think it was. But do you think this
Sirianni?
It was something big. I don't. That would be great. But and anyway, do you think this is why they haven't named an offensive coordinator yet?
No.
Two unrelated things. Unrelated.
Yeah, because you know what? In today's world, it would have came out during this whole thing. I mean, you can't hide nothing no more. You can't. The janitor would have spoke out about it. Somebody would have overheard something. You know what I mean? You can't hide. You can't hide it.
No,
unless you're the wait. I shouldn't say that. Unless you're the Phillies who hit Cesar Hernandez stress fractures in his feet for a whole half second, and nobody knew about. That they're the only team that can hide stuff. I know, but yeah, I don't. I think. I think he's retired next year. I can't see him doing this to the Eagles right now. Unless he gave him an ultimatum, maybe he's telling him, listen, maybe he went to Hal, maybe and told him, listen, you need to fire that guy.
Yeah, or I'm out of here. Right
yeah, you need to fire him. Like this is it ain't working with him. You know. I'm just saying, there's going to be, but I think it's going to be his retirement tour. Because unless he's sick, something's going on. You know, God forbid, there's like some type of physical stuff going on with him. That's a different story. Maybe he can't do it no more. But I'd be afraid of watching him leave and go somewhere like the Giants.
Yep, Dallas.
Well, Dallas got their guy already. Washington got their guy.
They'd fire them. I mean, but you're right. He goes to the Giants under Harbaugh. He would love that. Yeah. I
mean, what about going to Baltimore? What about
good young defense? Yeah, right down to Baltimore.
Well, what about Baltimore, Buffalo? I mean, they got openings. I mean, Pittsburgh, Mike McCarthy. Yeah. Why not? I mean, and it's a Pennsylvania guy. Yet he's still in Pennsylvania. He's just going to Pittsburgh. I just don't. Yeah, this has got to be something brand new. This can't be something that's been going on, unless, like I said, he's sick or something. You know, and he's got to he's stepping down due to that. Maybe something came up. Maybe it's like I said, God forbid, a family issue. Could be anything. But now I want to go back to. I heard something earlier. You were saying Trey Turner and him being the World Baseball Classic had nothing to do with his hit, right?
Yes.
Okay. Bobby Abreu went to the home run derby one year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he hit? I don't know how many, 20. I don't know how many. We'll say 20 home runs in the Derby. Okay. Whatever it was. Didn't he shit the bucket after that?
Yeah,
they had that wrestling?
No, he did.
Okay, so and people correlated that to the home run derby.
They did. And same thing with Alec Boehm a couple years ago when he was in the home run derby and came out and had a terrible second half in 23. I understand 24. I get it.
It can happen.
It can happen. Then why did Shohei Ohtani win the MVP after pitching in the World Baseball Classic?
Well, listen, Diaz,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I'm not blaming that. I'm not blaming the WBC for Trey Turner's 3/4 of a season slump in 2023. I'm not. Could it have something to do with it? Yeah, possibly, but it wasn't the whole thing.
I don't care who's in there. My only thing was Aaron Nola shouldn't be pitching when you are. I think the key pitcher to this staff right now, outside of the other two, you are the guy because after you there is nothing. We is really okay. We know we get Walker and an unknown what you're getting in Painter, and then I'm hearing Justin Verlander's name thrown around. Yeah. I don't want Verlander. Scherzer maybe.
I take Verlander. I take him. I would take him as an emergency, as a guy, as a safety net guy. Absolutely would take him. I wouldn't want him to. He's going to pitch fifth.
What about Chris Bassett? No, so
yeah,
who's pitching
Joe
third?
Hell mentioned him. Yeah, Joe Hell mentioned him.
Yeah, but you got to get somebody in here if it don't work with Nola.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't. And the guy you're bringing in isn't pitching fifth; he's pitching fourth because Painter's going to be your fifth guy.
Right. You put Walker back in the bullpen. Yeah.
Yes. So my thing was it just has to do with Nola. You're coming off a bad year, whatever mysterious injury or injuries or psychological or whatever the hell was going on with you.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you're going to take an extended time in the World Baseball Classic, which, I hope don't interfere with him when the season starts.
Listen,
that's my only concern.
Yes, there is a concern. Now, Christopher Sanchez, now as Joe Hale's reporting, because I had heard originally that Sanchez turned down Puerto Rico's offer, but now he said he is going, as per Joe Hale. Sanchez is now going to the World Baseball Classic. I'm going to go verify that here after the show, but
yeah, he is.
I find that interesting.
No, he is.
But that don't scare me. About how? Why not? Why doesn't that? He's the ace of the staff right now.
Okay.
Why does that not scare you?
Okay. One, he wasn't injured last year. Two, he wasn't injured last year. Three, it wasn't whatever, but serious injury, psychological. We'll go back to all that. We don't know exactly what went on with Aaron Nola. What was it? A rib, an ankle, a shoulder, a toenail? Yeah. We have no clue.
It was like the Jordan Romano blister 8 weeks on the DL type going on with Nola. You're right. We don't know what was, and you're absolutely 100% correct. But I go out on the other side of that. Get him back on the mound. Get him back pitching as soon as possible. Put him in high leverage situations right off the bat. He's a veteran getting paid a lot of money. He should be able to respond to this. To me, this is what he needs.
But he's not. Yeah, but Joel needed it too in a sense because of all the injuries he had. He kind of needed, but people backlashed on him, and I was one of them because he should have focused because he's coming off a bad year, not a bad year, an injury year again, and focus on yourself. And then what happened? He just didn't play that year that good. That's what I worry about the Phillies and. This pitching staff isn't like their ace ain't coming back till May. This is May 28th, supposed. That's a date.
Dombrowski said that date. He said it. May 28th. He's going to be pitching on May. Not activated off the IL. No, he's going to be standing on the pitcher's mound on May 28th. I couldn't believe when he said that.
But what pitcher are we getting when he comes back?
I agree. We don't know.
That's my point with Wheeler. Look, Wheeler at 80% is better than 3/4 of Major League Baseball. I mean, okay. So, but my concern is Nola because we don't know it's 2 months. The Phillies, if Nola shits the bucket, what happened? If he's got something going on because it never rectified itself, whatever was going on with him, where did the Phillies go then? I mean, that's what I worry about. And I get all these high. We're not the Dodgers. We don't have 15 prospects they can just bring up and miraculously win a World Series. We're not the Atlanta Braves who bring up these single A players or whatever, and they turn into all-stars. And no, not the Phillies. They got to be 45 years old, before they can come up. Because how dare they bring up a 20-year-old kid who's lighting it up down there? And now there are two reasonings for this. You ready? Is Scott Klentak the moron he was signing Scott Kingery to a contract for even swung a bat in baseball, Major League Baseball, and
terrible.
And then now they got stung because of the center fielder, what's his name? Rojas. Now they're stung because they brought him up. He was in Double-A. He didn't have enough this, enough that, blah blah. No. This is an organizational thing for the last 30 years, 40 years. Look at Don Brown. Don Brown was the greatest thing since sliced bread. We can't trade him for Roy. All them years they held out. Then they finally gave in. They got Roy. What happened? What happened to Dom? Where'd he go?
Well, he had a great first half, all-star, and then that was it. It completely fell apart.
Yeah. But when he was hot, they didn't want to bring him up. That's my point.
But when he did come up, his first year, he was an all-star. He had a great first half, like 30 home runs in the first half. And then that was it. It disappeared, and he was out of baseball a year later.
Mexico. He was in the Mexican League.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell he went.
Well, that's where he played at.
But listen,
that's my point with the
I hear
Phillies.
you. Scott Kinnery was a terrible. First of all, even if Kinnery was the real deal, you had 7 years under team control to mess around with that. You didn't have to sign him to a contract right then and then. It was a terrible decision to do that. And as far as Rojas, again, another terrible decision. The guy never played AAA. You called him up from AA right to the majors, and it is what it is. So you're right. You're absolutely right. And fool me once, fool me twice, all that. I got you. But there's got to be a time, and I think this year, with the lack of movement with free agents, they got no choice, Kaepernick, but to play some of these kids this year. They got really no choice. And that might be what they need to do.
You're right. Yeah, they have no choice. I mean, last year, you're telling me they could have put Crawford up, still traded for Bader, and Bader would have been your left fielder or set whatever. Oh no, we can't bring Crawford. Oh, we can't bring Painter up. Oh, we can't bring Rincones up. We can't bring Griff McGarry up. Oh, Mick Abel. Oh, he got killed in a game. My God, you see where I'm going with this stuff?
Oh, absolutely. No, I do.
Mick Abel's. I get it. He was down the minors for 7 years. 5
6 years.
Okay. Now here's the deal with this. It's the eye test. You're telling me the people down below, within the first 3 to 4, when the kid is like 25 years, whatever, they couldn't tell that maybe he didn't have it. They couldn't. This is how bad this organization is in the minor leagues. I never hear anything good. I've always heard about the Braves, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Brewers. I mean, they're always bringing players up. Not the Phillies. We got to go out and spend $500 million and not get a World Series.
Mick Abel, I'm telling you, yes, it took him a long time to get here. I'm telling you, Kaepernick, that trade, I got a bad feeling about that trade. I think Abel's going to have a serviceable career. I think he's going to have a 3 or 4 in the rotation type of career. I really do. And I think this is going to be I think we're going to regret this trade. I think we are.
Wasn't it one time it was Abel, Griff McGarry, and Painter? They were like the top 3.
They were the top 3.
And
yep.
Oh my man, there's
one left.
Look, one left. Man, boy, you talk about survival of the fittest. Those two. I get what they did with Abel. Was it Abel went for Duran or he went for okay, I understand that part. Okay, all right, but now see, he smartened up with that. You let Griff McGarry walk. You're telling me you couldn't trade for somebody for that kid?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, he's a first. He's a lefty. A decent left-handed pitchers are easier to come by today, but you know what I mean. But they're not like they used to be. You know what I mean? Where you couldn't. But I mean, today you get them a lot more. But it's an organizational thing. Do I want to see him trade these young guys away? No, I don't. But you can't let them sit down there. They're 26, 27 years old either. No, I mean, by the time you bring them up, the career's over.
We're gonna have a front row seat to watch what happens with Griff McGarry, seeing that he's with the Nationals. We're gonna have a front row seat.
How old's Aiden Miller?
21, I would say. 21, 22.
Okay. What would be the harm, seriously, of just bringing him up, put him at third, putting Baum at first and Harper in left? What would be the harm at that? What is the worst? What he craps the bucket maybe in the first month. Okay, you send them back. You figure out something with them. The kid's still young. You can bring them back in. It happens. If you got a strong brain, like Roy Halladay, I'll use Roy Halladay as the example.
Yeah.
If you're strong between the years, you should be able to handle that.
Absolutely.
And take that on and come back up. Now, I'm not saying everybody, is built like that. You know what I mean? They're not going to, but it's just, why go out and get why go out and get Suarez? I'm not saying, go. You can save some money.
He's another Schwarber. He's a boomer bust guy. I don't really want another one of those. I really don't.
Well, I think the Phillies know they're not trading Baum. I think that Harper's going to if they sign that guy, Harper's our left fielder. Unless unless they got a trade in the works that nobody's talking about with Baum, but I don't see it. But that's the only thing I can think of because or they're looking at it like this. They don't trust Garcia protecting Harper. And because this guy's he's hit 49 home runs before. He's hit 30-some home runs before. He hit 49 the second time he's hit 49 home runs in his career.
Yeah, no, he's the typical Phillies player right now. He's that strikeout machine or a home run machine, one or the other. You know what I mean? I don't want to. We're trying to change the DNA of this, Mike. We're not trying to reinforce it.
Well, that's why I'm saying, why not just bring Aiden Miller up? Didn't the Braves bring up their center fielder from Double-A? Their center fielder, Michael, whatever his name is. He's their center fielder now. I think he was a Double-A guy when they brought him up.
I know what you're talking about. I think he was. Yes, it was a couple years ago.
That's my point. Point. You bring these kids they don't understand. These kids are hungry. Sure, they're going to make mistakes, but that's what you're here to learn. If it don't work out, that's what's good about baseball, hockey, and basketball. You can send these kids down to learn and teach them a little bit more, then bring them back up. Okay,
absolutely.
But you got to get them. The kid's hungry. Mike Schmidt couldn't play third base. He played shortstop. Look, I'm not saying he's Schmidt, but.
Please don't start that. Don't start that.
No. Meaning like you're taking them. Just put them there and let them play. I'll put you like this. I'd rather see him than Stott because I think Stott's a better second. He's a very good defensive second baseman. Yeah. Outside of that, he hasn't lived up to the hitting. We know that. I don't want to see him at third base because I just don't know if he has the arm over there for that.
I think
you got to have a pretty good.
I think Stott has the arm over there. I think he does.
Well, okay. Put Stott third. Put Miller second. They got to figure out something. Bob can play first base. Look, Bob's not a horrible third baseman. I think he'd be a better first baseman because he ain't going to have all them rifled shots down the line at him every time. And Harper, I think Harper could play left field if they needed him to. I mean, do I want to see him out there? No, but I think he's a good enough athlete to do it. You don't put him in right field because that, like I was telling you last night, the kid out there's got a gun. I mean, he's got a shotgun out there, Garcia. Yeah. That kid's got, man, it's good. You see that arm, you're gonna be like, he ain't. Now, I'm not putting him up there with like Parker and Larry Walker and them guys, but he's got in today's game. Yeah, he's got a nice arm out there.
He does. All right, Papernick. Yeah. Listen, we're gonna wrap this up tonight, but listen.
Hey, you have a good night.
Tomorrow night, Mike Papernick, our final show of the week. Better be here. All right.
All right, I'll be here. All right, bye.
All right, Michael Papernick. Interesting as we went from phone call to phone call with Joe Hale to Papernick, and we got some breaking news that is interesting. Is this big news that Adam Schefter is about to drop? Is it a retirement of Vic Fangio, or is it what Adam says? The first thing he thought was Nick Sirianni is getting fired. Now, I'm not intonating that that's it. Be honest with you, I'd rather that be it because it's easier to me to replace Sirianni than it would be Fangio. But I go back to 2021. Doug Peterson got fired. Or no, Doug Peterson didn't get fired. It was a kumbaya end of season press conference. We're going to get better. We promise. We'll figure out Carson Wentz. Then about a week later, they had an emergency meeting down in Florida. And the next thing you know, Doug Peterson's out because of the situation that he wouldn't fire his boy, Press Taylor. That's who the offensive coordinator was back then. Now we have a similar situation. It's another wrinkle to kind of throw into this as before we find out, because that's what we'll do. We'll speculate. Kevin Padula was removed from the offensive coordinator position. Now, Nick Sirianni issued a statement. I don't know if it was on his own or if the team issued it. And the statement ended up saying, I'm sure Kevin will be successful wherever he goes. Well, the team removed that statement because the team never officially fired Kevin Patullo from the organization. He was removed as the offensive coordinator, but not fired. Is this perhaps a again, I'm not saying that that's the statement's the reason why they're making a move. Is there something behind the scenes with the head coach? Has Howie and Jeff kind of reached a boiling point with Kid Dynamite, right? Nick Sirianni. Is there something going on back there that we're not? Obviously, we don't know. But are the Eagles about to drop a nuclear bomb on this whole thing and say we're going to fire our head coach? Or is a low-range nuclear bomb going to go off and say Vic Fangio is retiring right now? Or just sort of a grenade will blow up and Vic Fangio will say, I'm retiring after the 2026 season. But whatever this is not good for the Eagles. This is going to shake the organization even more than it's shook right now. So Joe Hale broke that. I did not see that. I did not see this information. I know Schefter said it, but I didn't see any follow-on speculation about it. Good night, Jorge. Good to see you, by the way. Adam says the Flyers just tied it. Konechny's got 2 goals. It's now 5-3 Blue Jackets, and Travis and Konechny gets a hat trick, and the Flyers still lost 5-3. Yes, and we will get to the Clear the Ice program here in a minute, but let's finish up with our let's do the of the night real quick, and then we'll get right to Clear the Ice, as we've had a good show. A show that I was concerned that we weren't going to be able to find stuff to talk about. We were actually able to talk about quite a few things. Big time information coming out. Big time speculative news about the Adam Schefter bomb drop, about a shakeups coming to the Eagles next week, and we don't know what. Is it Vic Fangio retiring? Is it Nick Sirianni getting fired? What is it? So let's go to the of the night, and then we'll get into the Clear the Ice. All right, and then, we're about to do of the night, but let's put this up real quick. Kaepernick, and I forgot to add his take on all this. Is Vic Fangio, has he kind of thrown down the gauntlet and gone into Howie Roseman's office, pounded on his desk and said, it's either me or Fancy Pants. One of us is going. I've reached the end. All right, I'm not dealing with the boss's little kid anymore. Running around the sidelines. This is a joke. He's all up in my Kool-Aid. I can't work with this dude. It's either me or him. And then now Kaepernick doubles down by saying, could this be also about how the Eagles have handled the Patullo situation? Again, the perception of this whole offensive coordinator thing has now grown legs and is walking all over the place. Right? From how it's being viewed inside the organization and how it's being viewed on the outside of the organization. Is it time for the Eagles to do some sort of battle damage on this or damage assessment and be like, hey, stop. Let's talk. We're going to tell you what's going on without telling you what's going on. But I know the Super Bowl window is not completely closed, but you better move your fingers out of the windowsill. So I'm telling you, man, this ain't looking good. This is not a good way to kick off the offseason in any stretch of the imagination. But good stuff tonight here on the show. All right, let's do the other night. Let's do our NHL draft prospect and our Philly spotlight player. Let's do draft first. Mattel Gustafsson, the left-hand defenseman from the HV71 squad of the Swedish Hockey League. 6'4", 201-pound left-handed defenseman. Needs to put on about 20 pounds, and he'll be my dream defenseman. His skating speed and coordinated movement stand out for a 6'4" defenseman, even at the SHL level. That mobility allows him to create passing lanes and exploit them with his strong hockey sense. To push into higher territory, his play away from the puck in the defensive zone needs to become more reliable, and improved puck accuracy would strengthen his case as a potential top 15 selection At this stage, Gustafson projects as a future top 4 defenseman with two-way upside at the NHL level. So let's sum that up real quick. In a best case scenario, he's the Chris Pronger reincarnated. Or in a worst case scenario, he's a Shel Samuelson reincarnated. But either way, he's a top 4 in a defensive pairing. If he and at that mid-range 15 through 20 area, that might be where the Flyers are. And if that's the position that the Flyers can snap that kid up at, I'm all for that. I don't think the Flyers are going to find their impact centerman in this year's draft. I don't think they're going to be picking high enough for that. They may have to go outside and look at free agency for that. But if you have an opportunity to pick up a 6'4", 201-pound defenseman with mobility and offensive hockey sense, yeah, you don't pass him up, especially in that mid-range, mid to latter part of the first round. You don't pass that up. So second in a row that I've given a stamp of approval for the Flyers to potentially draft in their spots in this year's first round. The kid we talked about last night, and then tonight, Mr. Gustafson from the HV71 squad of the SHL. So there's your draft prospect. And now let's go to our Phillies spotlight player, the aforementioned that we were talking a little bit about, Johan Duran. Of course, he was traded. The Phillies went against the grain and actually brought in a closer and actually used him as a closer. And matter of fact, they brought him in and they used him in the 9th inning, sometimes in non-closing situations, as it was evident in the playoffs where they're playing his tarantula music against the Dodgers, and the Phillies are down like 4-0. So hopefully they don't do that again. But Johan Duran is a good piece to that World Series puzzle. He is. He's a necessary piece for a team that's supposed to be a World Series contender. And the Phillies went far too long through this era of play without a pitcher like him. Through 72 games between the Phillies and the Twins, 32 saves, a 2.06 ERA, 80 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.10. He is the real deal. Holyfield, and what did he had 103. He radar gunned him at 103 at one point last year, one of his first games with the Phillies. 103 miles an hour fastball. Came in like a lion, went out a little bit like a lamb. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe that adrenaline wore off on his trade, but he faded a little bit down the stretch, but still I think he's going to be definitely the answer at the back end of that bullpen, as long as Rob Thompson continuously uses him as a closer. So there you have it. There's your of the night, your draft and your Philly spotlight player. And that is going to wrap me up for the final word. But fear not, folks, as I am going to transition, because now we got some Flyers post game to talk about. That's right. So stay tuned for Clear the Ice. All right, welcome to Clear the Ice, a Flyers post-game show here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Your boy MattyB back again. You might have remembered me about 30 seconds ago. Flyers fall tonight 3-1. That was a score a minute ago. 5-3 tonight at the hands of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Dan Vildar's return, not necessarily that auspicious, except for one amazing save he had in this game against Fantilli, where he kind of robbed him on the short side with his glove. But the Flyers fall tonight. Valiant effort to get back in this game after, they had it tied at 1 and then they fell down 3-1 and they scratched and clawed their way back into this thing for a opportunity to push it into overtime. But the defense and goaltending let them down the stretch. Flyers fall 5-3. Travis Konecny does get the Hattie tonight for the Flyers. And actually, should have scored 4 goals. There was a play in this game where he was, I don't know what the hell, the defenseman got in his way. He had a entire open side of the net, and all he had to do was, it was the far side of the net. He had to just push it, elevate it up a little bit, and it would have just banked right in. But defenseman got in the way of the stick and altered the shot, stopping connecting from a possible 4-goal effort. But the Flyers fall tonight 5-3, and this dreadful month of January continues for this squad as a promising start to the season is quickly unraveling a little bit here. As we get closer to that trade deadline, and we are very close to the Olympic deadline or the Olympic break, but as we get closer to the trade deadline, I'm going to be the first to ask the question, are the Flyers sellers again? And I honestly think even if they can sort of right the ship here a bit and get back to playing better hockey, I still think they're sellers. And I think Danny B is going to piss some people off this year. I honestly do. And I think he's going to sell. I do, which I'm okay with. So let's get into this thing. The Flyers were on national TV tonight. A triple header or a triple broadcast on national TV, TNT, HBO Max, and True TV carrying friggin' hockey games as the Flyers got the national spotlight tonight. Healthy scratches for the Flyers: Nick Delorier, Garnet Hathaway, and Emil Andre. Thank God. And for the Blue Jackets, Danton Hein, Dante Fabro, and Jake Christensen were the healthy scratches. In the between the pipes for the Flyers tonight, the return of Dan Vladar, 30 saves or 30 shots, 26 saves, 8.67 save percentage. He gives you a better chance to win than Sam Ersson does. But he is not a starting goalie at this level. He is a very good backup, and we do have a very good backup. The problem is you need to get a starter, and we can talk this all night long up and down the pike till our faces are blue. Dan Vladar is a good backup at this level, and that is it. I'm sorry to burst the bubble or be the bad tidings and all that, but he's a very good backup, and he's done well in a sort of fish out of water type situation for the Flyers this year. But you cannot continue. If you're going to make a run and be a Stanley Cup contender, Dan Vladar cannot be your starter. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. I'm not saying jettison him off the island, but they got to find a starter. Merzikas got to start for the Blue Jackets, and he was pretty good. 27 saves, 27 shots, 24 saves, and a .889 save percent for him. Let's head to this game. The Blue Jackets would get it rolling at the 38-second mark. Again, Vladar gets back in the game, first game back after a stint on the IL, and then less than 40 seconds into his first game back, he gives up a goal. Charlie Coyle is 12th from Oliver and Wierzynski. It was 1-0 at this point. But Travis Konechny would get the Flyers tied about 9 minutes later with his 18th goal, his first of 3 on the night from Cam York and Noah Juleson, tied up at 1. And then Kirill Marchenko at the 1940 mark of the first period, his 19th from Wierzynski and Fantilli. Listen, 2 things happen in this period that you cannot let have happen in hockey games. You can't give up the early goals heading into a game or heading out of the dressing room, and you can't give them up at the end of the periods. They're just soul crushing goals. They bust. They're morale busters. They're terrible, because now you got to go into the dressing room and think about that, or now you got to skate around at the beginning of a game or beginning of a period and change your game because you just gave up a goal. And this happened on both ends of the first period, and you can't have that. That's bad hockey right there. And the Flyers have been a victim of that a lot this year, giving up the late period goals or giving up the early period goals. Blue Jackets and Flyers both had 7 shots in that first period. On to the second, and again, not technically an early goal, but 1 minute and 58 seconds into the second period, Eric Gudbranson, his first of the season, to make it 3-1 from Stillinger and Coyle. And that's where we would stay for the rest of the second period. No more scoring. Columbus severely outshot the Flyers 16-6 in that period. On to the third period, and Travis Konechny would get the Flyers back in the game. His 19th second of the night from Dvorak and Drysdale at the 4:08 mark. And then Travis Konechny at the 15:14 completes the Hattie and his 20th goal of the year, The lone assist on that was from Sanheim to make it 3-3. But then at the 16:32, about a minute and a half, minute 15 seconds later, Sean Monahan, his ninth from Severson and Johnson to give the Blue Jackets the 4-3 lead. And then Matthew Oliver would tap in the empty netter at 18:54 to give them a little bit of insurance. Sillinger gets the lone assist on that goal. The Flyers painfully outshot the Blue Jackets 14-8 in the third period. For the game, the Blue Jackets outshot the Flyers 31-27, and that's how you get 5-3. Flyers 0 for friggin' 5 on the power play. Oh, man. I keep a stat here. I've been tracking every power play the Flyers have been on since the 2021 season, and I've been keeping tabs on this for the last 5 or 6 years. They're about 13% effective on the power play since the 2021 season. This is amazing. I'm not blaming the power play coach. Dave, I'm not doing that no more. This would be the third one we're going to blame. It's the personnel. It's always been the personnel. The Blue Jackets were 0 for 3 on the power play, so that's good for the Flyer PK as they've sort of turned a corner a little bit on that lately. The Flyers took the puck away 5 times, only gave it away 9 times tonight, blocked 18 shots along the way in this game. If the Flyers fall 5-3 and this dreadful month continues on into tomorrow night, because it ain't going to get any easier, because we're going back to back, and tomorrow it's the Boston Bruins, and Mike Laro will be back, and he'll have you on a standalone version of Clear the Ice tomorrow night following my show. So not going to get easier for the Flyers tomorrow as they battle the Bruins. So 5-3 Flyers fall. Shake my head a little bit about this team, and we are getting close to the trade deadline. I say sell. We are not winning a Stanley Cup this year. And be honest with you, I'm tired of saying this, the little engine that could Flyers. I'm tired of saying they're a good story. I'm tired of saying they're this, they're that. Danny B's got to get off the pot here and make some moves. We need a number 1 center. We need a number 1 defenseman, and we need a starting goalie. I understand the plan for the goalie, but maybe you deviate off that plan a little bit, because they got to find someone that can go in there every night and do the job as a starter. Got to jumpstart this offense. We got to have some scores. We need a score. Just give me one bona fide first line centerman. That's all I need. And no more drafting. I'm done. I'm not doing it. Our drafts have been terrible. It's taking too long for some of these players to round in the form. I'm not interested, and I know it's a rebuild, but I'm not interested in sitting in a rebuild for 10 years. I don't have that kind of time left in my life. You know what I mean? So Danny B's got to figure something out. They got money to spend heading into this summer. Ellis's contract's off the books. Brazalov's contract, I think, falls off the books this summer. So they got money. They got to go find a number 1 center. Somehow trade for one, sign one. I haven't looked at the class of 26 free agents yet, but I will start looking at that. But it ain't coming from the draft, because they're not going to be drafting in the top 5. They're not going to be drafting in the top 3. They're going to be drafting in that 11 to 15 range, and they're not going to find a number 1 center there. And that's just a reality, And you got to find out what's going on with friggin' MattyB Michkov. I mean, it's been a dreadful season for him. Anyway, Flyers fall 5-3. Back at it tomorrow night against the Boston Bruins. That's it. Thank you for being part of the 2 for tonight. We did a final word, and we did a Clear the Ice. Almost an hour and 40 minutes of showtime tonight. So I'm going to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure to be back tomorrow for the final word and Clear the Ice, and the Gridiron Weekly Report as well at 8 o'clock. Until tomorrow, you guys, from the immortal words of Mr. Gene Hart, good night, good hockey. And from me at the final word, we'll talk tomorrow night.